even though this video is going to be irrelevant tomorrow, I wanted to make it because we've never seen such a bombshell leak this close to an Apple event before. A lot of times things leak leading up to the Apple event, but never something of this caliber. Over the weekend on Saturday, 9to5Mac and Mac Rumors posted a lot of details about the upcoming iPhone, new Apple Watch, and AirPods, and Apple TV. Basically, the story goes like this. An Apple employee sent an email with a URL, an unguessable link, to 9to5Mac and Mac Rumors that contain the download for the IPSW for the new iPhone. That is the software that's meant to run on the new iPhone. And two developers, Steve Troughton-Smith and Guillermo Rambo, who I talked about in my last iPhone Rumors video, dug through this code and found so much. And I wanted to make this quick video just to kind of document everything and then watch it back tomorrow and be like, okay, that was right, this was wrong, that was right, and that was definitely wrong. Today is Monday, September 11th, 2017. I'm Sam Sheffer, your friendly neighborhood tech vlogger, and this is my last second Apple rumor / confirmation video. Again, this is all going to be irrelevant probably by the time you watch this. So let's start with the non-iPhone stuff. We've heard about an LTE Apple Watch. We've now more or less got confirmation, basically from Apple itself, that we're going to be seeing an LTE Apple Watch. It's got one particular standing out visual difference compared to the other Apple Watches, and that is the red marking on the digital crown. Here we have a screenshot of the software. You can see the new edge-to-edge iPhone there, and then the cellular indicator button there as well. And we've got the dots for LTE signal. Now, apparently, you're gonna be able to keep your same phone number, and there's going to be different trial periods depending on what carrier you have, but basically an LTE Apple Watch means that you can receive calls and text messages with the Apple Watch, and your phone doesn't have to be attached to it. That is the Dick Tracy dream coming to life.
Dick Tracy calling Hemlock Holmes. Calling Hemlock Holmes. Go ahead, Tracy.
Next up on the list is a 4K Apple TV. I don't know how it took Apple until 2017 to support 4K, but here we are. And apparently it's going to support HDR as well. It wouldn't surprise me if the actual unit itself looked identical, it just supported 4K and HDR now, but that's coming. Oh, and then we also got a leak of new AirPods. It doesn't seem, based on what we've seen so far, that there's going to be any visual differences aside from the battery indicator. If you have AirPods currently, when you open it, the battery indicator of the housing is on the inside of the unit. This new leak shows us a render of AirPods that's going to have the charging indicator on the outside. No word on whether or not these new AirPods are going to have longer range, maybe better battery, but we'll see. We will not see an iPhone 7S and 7S Plus. Instead, Apple's jumping up to 8. We will see an iPhone 8 and an iPhone 8 Plus. Now, I think Apple's going to do two things in particular that will justify calling this new iPhone the iPhone 8. Number one, we've seen rumors, and I think it'll have wireless charging as well as a true tone display. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus will retain the home button, so we will see Touch ID on there. And obviously, no headphone jack. We now know how much RAM these iPhones are going to have. The iPhone 8 is rumored to have 2 gigs of RAM, and the iPhone 8 Plus is rumored to have 3 gigs of RAM. And this new Special Edition Pro Edition, iPhone Edition Pro, is going to be called iPhone X. And whether or not Apple pronounces it iPhone X or iPhone 10, we'll have to wait and see. If I had to guess, I'd say Apple's gonna be like, the X stands for 10, and they're gonna call it iPhone X, and it might just be the most hyped iPhone ever. We've had other phones called the X, like the Moto X, but Apple's never called a flagship device of this caliber X. Just imagine, you know, telling your friends, yeah, I got the iPhone X. Like, it just sounds so much more badass than, like, I don't know, iPhone 7S Plus, you know what I mean? Anyway, so this phone is going to have 3 gigs of RAM. This phone is going to have a dual camera system. This phone is going to have Face ID support, meaning you'll be able to scan your face to unlock your device. And we actually got the kind of setup process leaked. Take a look at this. Similar to how when you set up Touch ID, you raise and kind of place your finger on the home button and you get that little scanning animation of your fingerprint, we'll see something similar with Face ID. And because this new iPhone does Face ID, we're gonna have not one but 2 cameras in the front. The main camera is a 7 megapixel shooter that does 1080-30, and then an infrared camera, which according to Steve TS is 1312 by 1104. And yes, the iPhone X will have a dual camera system which supports portrait mode. We'll get some other shooting modes as well, but the rear camera system will support 1080 at 240 as well as 4K 60. That is fantastic. And also, we are finally getting native 24 frames per second recording for video on the iPhones. I have asked for this for literally years, and it's finally coming to the iPhone. Now, whether or not that's an iOS 11 thing, is it gonna be limited to just the iPhone X? I don't know. I'll tell you this, I'm getting the iPhone X for many reasons, but one of them being 24 frames per second native video recording on my phone. And just a couple more tidbits. So with the iPhone X, we're going to have that notch that splits the status bar. And we now know how Apple is going to handle this. The clock will be on the left side, and then everything else will be on the right side. So, and notice that it doesn't say the carrier name anymore. I wonder if that's just because these are directly from the source code, or there's maybe not enough room. I don't know. Apple's never been a fan, obviously, of having the carrier's names on any of their products. And when you plug in your iPhone to screen record, it defaults the time to 9:41 and then removes the carrier name from your status bar. I wouldn't mind this. I think it looks cleaner, but we'll see. There's also a new loading animation. So you know that little tiny animation that kind of looks like a little maybe like gear or like clock, like going around and around like that. That's now gonna be a tiny dot that kind of whooshes back and forth on the top right of your screen when you're loading something. All right, two more quick things. Emoji. We are now going to have animated emoji. Apparently the phone will scan your face, and if you're smiling or laughing or frowning or angry, you can get an animated emoji to send to your friends. And yes, the poop emoji will be included in this. And then the last tiny tidbit, Apple's adding a bunch of new wallpapers to the new iPhone. Again, not sure if that's an iOS 11 thing or limited to the iPhone X, but I really like this throwback, the rainbow icon in particular. Cannot wait to make that my background on the new iPhone X. And that's kind of it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't really know why you watch this video, because literally tomorrow I'm gonna put out another video with everything we learned from the Apple event, but I appreciate you. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will literally see you tomorrow with a ton of Apple news. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.